topic today is actually quite interesting, and the question came up while I was in Kenya, and a good friend of ours who is an intellectual and a deep thinker asked me the question, why is so much going wrong in our world today? Why is so much going wrong in our lives today? At a personal level, within our families and loved ones, and at a global level. What is going on? So let us take a few minutes to explore this question. As 2024 was winding down, we witnessed an unusually high number of young people leaving our world physically and transitioning to the hereafter, an unusually high number, either through health reasons or accidents or many other causes. Now, it is normal for us to bury our parents and elders, but in recent times, we see a lot of the opposite taking place. Elders are burying their children amidst an atmosphere of deep tragedy and sorrow. And like I said 3 weeks ago, we experienced such a tragedy firsthand when we had to bury our 36-year-old nephew who was a son to us. This was one of the most difficult experiences I have encountered. And this was not an isolated incident. It has occurred with uncanny frequency recently within our families and friend circles, neighborhoods and communities, and across the world. Now, if we look at the big picture, which is the global stage, and we look back over the last several years, we've all witnessed numerous innocent children, mothers, fathers get massacred before our eyes through senseless wars sanctioned by powerful nations that were once part of what was a civilized world. Many of us, viewers of media reports, have gotten used to these tragic scenes. Some of us have become hardened and accepting of what we see transpiring before our eyes, because it is happening in places very far away. We don't feel the connection. And most of us, we are empathetic, but we have resigned to helplessness and impotency because we are unable to stop what is happening, or we think we are unable to. But strangely, such types of tragedies have begun to occur in our own lives and amongst those around us. It is no longer restricted to the screens. It is actually happening around us closer to home. And as the embattled people we see in the news lament the loss of their families, homes, and fortunes in conflicts, we are also witnessing parallel changes in our lives, challenges in our lives, spiraling upwards. It's happening to all of us. Our problems are getting more and more complex, and the harder we try to work through them, the more difficult they get. So while our fellow beings in the world deal with devastation and loss, we too are getting a taste or an experience of loss in our own little microcosms. It is no secret that so many people are experiencing greater losses than before in their businesses and personal finances and so many aspects of their lives, often driven by random and unexplained factors. Likewise, our relationships are also going through increasing levels of turmoil and conflict within and around us in a far more prevalent manner than before. Does all this sound familiar to everyone? So we find ourselves experiencing losses, pain, suffering, and tragedies at varying levels while witnessing our fellow beings suffer a similar or more devastating fate. None of us is being spared from the taste of these experiences. Hence, this begs the question, why are we going through such an increasingly difficult period in our lives? Are we being punished for our acceptance of the misfortunes of others? Or are there more subtle factors at play here, which is what I believe is happening? I spent some time meditating over these questions, and today I'm going to share with you two of the answers that came to me, because I could not accept this argument of punishment. I realized that there has to be a deep-rooted reason, or many deep-rooted reasons. So today we will go through two. So while I was reflecting and meditating on this, and I asked the question, why? The first answer I received was the word connectivity. Connectivity. We are all deeply connected to one another through our common essence, which is our life force, the force that makes us all alive, intelligent, and functional. Let us call this force life energy, which comes to us from the source of our creation, whatever we believe that source to be. Therefore, because we share this common essence, we are all deeply interconnected in ways that are far more profound than we realize. When pain, suffering, and upheavals are inflicted upon our fellow beings, wherever they may be in the world, these painful experiences flow to each one of us in different ways, and we end up being part of their experiential circle. The scale of our experiences may either be equal to or different from theirs for numerous reasons. And we can go into this another time because there are good reasons why. But the bottom line is we share in the experiences of our fellow beings in our own different ways. Now, this connectivity does not just apply to pain and difficulty. It also applies to positive experiences that make us happy and flourish in ways we cannot always explain. Although the human ego is so big that such good fortunes are quickly claimed as personal genius and intelligence. We've all heard that before. Not really, my dear friends. I believe it is connectivity at play. Likewise, knowledge. When something is created in one part of the world, let us say, for example, it's a major breakthrough or a major invention, its ripples reach all of us. And those of us who are involved in that particular field find ourselves intuitively drawn to further develop and build on these breakthroughs. Once again, that too is connectivity at work. And my dear friends, this connectivity is also revealed in many sacred scriptures. One scripture says, and I quote, "And we created you all from one soul." And we created you all from one soul. These profound words guide us to the fact that our spiritual unity is the root of our connectivity. Our spiritual unity is the root of our connectivity. Now, we can all benefit from reflecting on our own experiences of this connectivity because we have all experienced it, and we can seek to decipher what message they are trying to convey to us. And there's always an answer to be discovered by those who contemplate such matters at a deeper conscious level. So do give it a go. So connectivity was the first answer that came through. And to me, it seems logical at so many levels. So I will leave you with that as food for thought. The second answer is a little more subtle than we all realize, but it represents a major contributor to the events and experiences that are manifesting in our lives. Now, to understand this, let us consider a real life situation that Karima and I experienced a few years ago at Madrid Central Station. Let's examine that situation. So Karima and I were on our way to Dubai from Malaga, and we took the fast train from Malaga to Madrid, where we were to be picked up by a car service that would take us to the airport. So our train arrived in Madrid about 10 minutes late, and once we got into the station hall, I went to look for the driver who was supposed to be waiting for us with our name plaque. In the meantime, Karima waited at the gate with our luggage. Now, after some searching, I found our driver and we walked back to where Karima was, and I helped him load our luggage onto a large porter-style trolley. In addition to our suitcases, we also had several smaller items, and unfortunately, as he started to move, a couple of these items fell off the trolley. So I was quite focused on helping him keep it all together. We finally got to the car, which was in the parking lot a few levels above the train station. And once the driver had loaded everything into the car, Karima decided to do a quick check herself to see that everything was in order. And that's when she realized that my wheel-on with my briefcase containing our passports, monies, and all valuables was missing. We panicked because in Madrid station, there are so many petty thieves and pickpockets that a valuable piece of luggage lying in the open would be an easy target. I ran from the parking lot to the escalators, and as I was going down one of the long escalators, I tripped and almost fell all the way down. It could have been a fatal fall, but luckily I was saved by some unexplained force, which helped me hold on to the side. When I got to the train gate, I was so relieved to see my wheel-on and briefcase standing there in the open as people walked by obliviously. It was such a welcome sight, and I can't tell you how relieved I was to find it there. Of course, we made it to our flight and got to Dubai safely, but on the plane, we were talking about it, and we were both super relieved and grateful that we had been saved from a catastrophe. For starters, we certainly would not have been able to travel without our passports, credit cards, etc., let alone all the complications that would follow. Now let us look at some of the things that could have gone wrong that day, but didn't. Number one, the train could have been delayed and we may have missed our flight, one possibility. Another, that our driver may not have showed up, or I may have failed to find him, and this may have caused us a fair delay, affecting what happened downstream. Also, fortunately, while Karima was waiting with our luggage, nothing got stolen. Now, sometimes the way it works in stations and airports is one thief may come and grab a piece of luggage or anything off your trolley, and as you run to chase them, others come in and take whatever you have left behind unattended. So that happens all the time, and we are aware of it. And this reminds me of a previous situation. This was in 2014 at Barcelona airport, where someone grabbed Karima's purse from the luggage trolley and ran off with it while she was signing a car rental contract. She was literally turned around to sign it. This guy picked up her purse and ran off. Different situation, different day. But what that experience showed me was that I had been married to a lioness for the past 37 years. And you know what happens to people who mess with a lioness? So I was supposed to have my heart surgery. So I'll give you a quick background to it. It's quite funny, actually. I was going to have a heart surgery. And so she was going to be a second driver in the car and then drive after the surgery. And as she was signing these papers, the car rental place was in the outside parking area. This guy picks up her handbag and runs off, and she says to me, "Amyn, my bag is gone," and then she sees him. So what does she do? She runs after him at full speed. Now, I tried to follow, but remember I was going for a cardiac surgery with a blocked artery, so I could have had a heart attack. So I stopped myself and I said, I hope she can get it, but if she can't, it's all right. There she went, and luckily this guy got into a car, and there was a car in front of that, the getaway car, and there was another car behind it, and they could not get out. And not so far away, there was a police car. So Karima runs over, bangs on their car window, and now I'm horrified. I thought, what's happening? Bangs on their car window. The driver asks her something, and she says, you have my purse? He says, we don't. She said, you do. And then she starts to open the door, tries to open the door of where the thief was sitting at the back. Next thing you know, the guy opens the door and throws her purse out, and they try to get away. She picks up the purse, and she's walking back, happily smiling, and I thought, okay, problem over. No, problem wasn't over. Suddenly she decides she wants to take down the number of that car. So she turns around again, and I go, where are you going? She runs, she gets the number, and then she comes back. And I thought, oh my God, I had no idea, what you can be when someone messes with you. So anyway, these sort of thefts occur all the time. And now think that I had left something with so much value right there in the middle of Madrid Station Hall. So coming back to this Madrid Central Station possibilities, one of the other possibilities is that we may not have realized that my wheel-on and briefcase were missing until we got to the airport at check-in. And in that case, the chances of finding them would have been almost zero, because it wouldn't have survived. However, that did not happen, because something guided Karima to go and check everything beforehand at the station. So another possibility is that I could have fallen down that long escalator, and maybe I wouldn't be here today. Falls from escalators have been known to inflict severe injuries. I mean, when we were doing a healing session in London many, many years ago, there was a young man who I knew from childhood, and he comes in a wheelchair to the healing session. Of course, I know him. We were from our early childhood days. And we got talking, and he was married, he has a daughter, and he was in one of the malls in the UK, and as he was going down an escalator, he slipped and fell, and it damaged his spine in such a way that he was paralyzed, completely paralyzed. And so his whole life turned upside down. And, so those kind of falls are extremely dangerous and very much something to be aware of. So here, I was spared from that. Something saved me again. So many things could have gone wrong, but they didn't. So in this one event, my dear friends, we can see that only the right things happen at the right time, while everything else can go wrong. It shows us that in each moment of our lives, there are thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of events that can go wrong. And there is only one event that actually manages to transpire exactly and correctly. Think of the statistical odds here. You've all done math early on. Think of the statistical odds. A few 100,000 or a few millions to one. It is like each moment that you live through has the same chance of occurring as winning a lottery. Each moment you live through has the same chance of occurring as that of winning a lottery. How many of us have paused to realize how absolutely fortunate we are in each and every moment of our lives? So, what is it that fights past all the odds and places us in the right place at the right time in the right event? What is it? I call it nature's algorithm. It is super intelligent and far more powerful than any AI will ever be. Because think of the permutations in 8 billion lives on this world, and then all other creation, everything going exactly the way it should. Now this algorithm works with us and for us from moment to moment, each one of us. Now, how do we respond to this amazing force of perfection and blessing? How do we respond? We remain absolutely oblivious. We have no idea of the hoops that were overcome to place us where and how we are every moment. So it is time for us to start being mindful of this important blessing, my dear friends. You saw what could have happened to us in Madrid, but didn't. And Karima's and my response to that situation that day on our flight back was one of immense gratitude. And we both actually offered prayers of gratitude that day. My dear friends, gratitude is the force that drives nature's algorithm to take care of us from moment to moment. I'll repeat that because it's very important. Gratitude is the force that drives nature's algorithm to take care of us from moment to moment. Now let us ask the sobering question, where are we all today as a humanity? Number one, oblivious to all our gifts, absolutely not mindful, and consequently ungrateful. We are so full of nonsense and negativity in our minds, which is drilled into us by our media, social media, and more. We are totally manipulated, fearful, and saturated with negative information. Our very consciousness is negative, lamentably. And I've discussed this issue in several webinars before in some depth, and you can look up those videos. So for creatures like us, self-absorbed, unmindful, and ungrateful, how does this beautiful algorithm of nature work? Expectedly, it becomes a little less effective because we give it nothing back in the form of mindfulness and gratitude. Hence, what does it do? It starts dropping a few balls here and there. And that in itself is enough to deliver the spiraling challenges and difficulties we are all facing today. Luckily, it is probably only dropping 0.000001% of the balls, thus permitting very little of what can go wrong to actually go wrong. And hence here we are, witnessing and living the chaos. Remember, it is still delivering to us 99.9999, you can keep repeating the nines, of our so-called safe moments. It's still delivering those. But even that tiny margin is enough to turn our worlds upside down. And that, my dear friends, is what I believe is playing out before us today, in front of our eyes. And it can only get worse. Unless we wake up from our oblivious slumber, all of us. So let us start to turn things around from today. Firstly, let us be completely aware that each moment is actually a lottery won. Each moment is actually a lottery won. We have overcome all the odds against us. Let us be mindful, and mindful of this truth. And above all, let us be grateful, and eternally grateful for every moment we are blessed with, and every little experience or physical gift that that moment brings to us. Remember, gratitude is the most powerful fuel in nature and the universe. I will repeat that gratitude is the most powerful fuel in nature and the universe. It flows and spreads with boundless energy, positive energy. And finally, let us allocate a few moments each day to contemplate our blessings and to offer sincere and heartfelt prayers of gratitude and more to our Creator, because these prayers always find their way into the foundation of unity that makes us all one soul, one humanity, one essence. Our prayers will not only help us, but they will also reach every fellow being and creation with immense positivity. So let us offer those prayers. Let us take those times. Doesn't matter what faith we belong to, what our beliefs are, whatever it is. within the context of whatever we believe, take the time to offer this gratitude. And that's how, my dear friends, we change our world and its events for the better. Now, this was the insight I wish to share with you today. I've shared 2 answers. Maybe in the future I'll share some more.